give you Doug Harvey, our esteemed zone chair, for an introduction of our esteemed guest.
Thank you, Mr. Esteemed President.
Thank you.
Esteemed audience, esteemed guests. It's my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker. You've had one of those days, or maybe you've had one of those years. If you have gone through life, you probably had a few times when things haven't gone as smoothly from beginning to end as you'd like them to be. It's not easy to keep your cool when you're running on fumes. Our guest speaker today, Dennis Bauer, is the author of Fumes and a Prayer. It's a book I'm currently reading, by the way, because I first heard his talk at another Lions Club meeting. I was very impressed, and I bought the book. It's How to Live on the Edge and Still Be Home for Dinner. Yes, there are pictures in it. Okay. The books are on the table, and if you buy one today, Dennis will sign it, so you have a signed, autographed copy. Not everything goes to life as expected, though Dennis has sailed to Puget Sound in an electrical storm. He climbed up on Mount Rainier with 60-mile-an-hour winds. And then he has the nerve to take a plane like that out there. He gets halfway to his intended goal, and he looks down and his fuel gauges are on empty.
Remind me to never travel with him.
But in this process, he has developed 3 key words that will help you get through all kinds of different. Oh my! There you go. That's the first one. But this one will help you get through that tough times, and it's words that you will always keep in mind and apply those whenever you're up in a plane and it runs out of gas. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dennis Bauer. Dennis? Here's the book.
No wonder you know Matt Bauer.
Yeah.
That was cruel.
That was cruel to Dennis.
This is not a selfie. This is a crowdie.
Yeah.
Everybody smile.
All right. Hey.
All right, that'll be around the world by tonight. 144,000 Lions clubs around the world, 1.4 million members, and I am looking at the center of the Lion universe right here.
That's right.
That is awesome. By the way, I donated. I moved to Longview last summer from Tacoma, and one of the first events I went to was Squirrel Fest.
Welcome to Longview.
And I went to the Lions booth and bought 2 $5 ice cream cones.
All right.
Thank you for the ice cream. You're welcome for the $10. Expect the unexpected. Right, expect the unexpected. When I turned 20, I was living in my little apartment in Denver. My mother sent me a birthday card and it said, "Happy birthday. From now on, you're going to count your birthdays by decades." And I didn't know what that meant at the time. Turned 30, had a little family birthday party, turned 40, had my first ever surprise birthday party at home, about 40 people. Turned 50, spent it at a Chinese restaurant in a hotel in Anchorage where I was doing a job for several days. If I hit you, will you tell me? When I turned 60, I know, the secret to looking young is keeping your hair.
Where are you going next?
That's going to cost me, isn't it? When I turned 60, I had my second surprise birthday party. About 60 people showed up. And of course, when it came time to cut the cake, they handed me a microphone. Now, you hand a speaker a microphone. So I was going on about 60. Yeah, what is 60? It's just a number, how you feel, and how I'm young and strong, and sometimes funny. And, I think 60. That didn't feel 60, didn't look 60, act 60, didn't talk 60. And then they took the microphone away. For the first time since I had my tonsils out when I was a kid, 4 weeks later, I was in the hospital. Now, unexpected things happen, and the dictionary definition of unexpected is, you have got to be kidding, end quote. You have got to be kidding. I was in the hospital and they didn't know why, except that my skin was all yellow, my urine was dark orange, my was intensely swollen, and every muscle in my body was extremely weak. And they didn't know why. A few days later, they named it autoimmune hemolytic anemia. You have to practice to say that. They don't know what caused it. 100 milligrams of prednisone for a while, and tapered that off. I was in the hospital for the week through Thanksgiving. Unexpected things happen all the time, don't they? Even maybe today, something unexpected happened to you, yes? And unexpected scales, from little things like a broken nail to big things like a broken marriage, or a home going into foreclosure, or a career that goes down the tubes. Unexpected things happen to us at all levels, all the time. So come with me and walk across the hard black tarmac of the airport of Mountain Home, Idaho. Mountain Home, Idaho? Idaho people? You've heard of Idaho. Yes. We were flying a plane like that one on the picture, and this was the start of our second leg of the flight from good old Tacoma to Arapahoe County Airport just south of Denver. We walk out there, and my passengers are with me. They get in on the passenger side, and in the back, there are 6 seats, 2 in the back, 2 in the middle, 2 in the front. And this young 20-something wiry guy gets in the back seat. In one of the middle seats, the wife of the guy that's in the front seat on the right. And I get in the pilot seat, because I'm the pilot, so it's in the pilot seat. Got a clearance from Mountain Home, Idaho Tower. Engine cranks up. Throttle full forward, and all 300 horses under that engine cowling come to life with a gutsy roar. Point the nose down runway 12 to the southeast. Release the brakes, and we barrel down the runway, and we reach the right airspeed, pull back on the control yoke, the nose lifts off, and all 3,000 pounds of airplane, passengers, baggage, and fuel lift off into the clear blue skies of a gusty August afternoon. This would be smooth sailing, for sure. Oh, you're getting ahead of me. Don't surprise the ending. Climb to altitude and mosey across southern Wyoming, get over Cheyenne, turn right 90 degrees, head over Denver. I looked out my window to see the ground of northern Colorado slowly sliding by 5,000 feet below. I hear the drone of the engine. See, pilots say that flying is 99% pure boredom. Now, the other 1% can get rather interesting. I scan the instruments on the instrument panel, and in particular, I'm interested in the 2 fuel gauges because they are both empty. Then I hear the engine cough, sputter, and die. And watch the propeller windmill as we're now coasting through the air. And just like you've driven your car and the gas gauge is on empty and you're driving on fumes and you're praying you get to the gas station before it runs out, right? Yes. You've done that? Say yes.
Yeah.
I was now flying on fumes in a creek. Ever happened to you? Well, if you've never been in an airplane and run out of fuel, but in life, you have sometimes run out of gas and felt like you were going down, haven't you? Well, I recalled the 3 words from my flight instructor that he gave me several years earlier when we were up flying a trainer airplane, and for the first time, he leaned over and pulled the power. Want to see how you react? So I reacted. Poorly. Bauer, that's my name, Bauer. Bauer, when you lose power and you're going down, remember these 3 words and in this order.
Oh my God.
After you say that, remember these three words, and in this order: aviate, fly the plane; navigate, and then communicate. Aviate, navigate, communicate, and in that order. Aviate means fly the airplane. Before you do anything else, keep control of the basics. Make sure your wings are right, your nose is right. Because if you don't, and you start looking at the ground, fiddling around and clicking switches and turning dials, trying to fix whatever went wrong, and you're talking on the radio like texting on the freeway, only we're doing 170 miles an hour, what can happen? Yes, you can lose control of the plane and it'd be an entirely different story. When I speak to teenagers, often they ask me, your engine quit, what happened? Did you crash? I usually say, yep, there were no survivors. Which might have been the case. Except the first thing I did was aviate, get control of the basics. Wings level, nose pointed straight, airspeed right. So I've got control of that. That's the first thing, the basics. Aviate. What is this? Aviate. Second is?
Navigate.
Navigate. Great. The basics of navigate are what I call the ABCs. A is where you are. B is where you want to. You're such a smart audience. The first time I ever said this to a crowd, they said, where you want to go. I said, no, that'd be the AGCs. It's the ABCs. It's where I want to be. And C is the course I'm going to take to get from where I am to where I want to be. Aviate, navigate. Now, I knew I couldn't get from where I was to where I wanted to go. I needed a new place to land. But Denver approach started vectoring me, which is turning left, heading 090, turn right, heading 180, turn left, heading 120, turn right, turn left, turn right. And they're trying to keep me from hitting the big brother jets in the sky, which isn't a bad idea, but I'm in a bit of a hurry. So I did the third thing. Aviate, navigate, and Denver approach Cessna 65 Victor. How long are you going to keep vectoring me around? I'm a little low on fuel. I pictured in my mind a government employee in a government building on the ground, with his ball cap on backwards and his government coffee cup sitting on the counter, and he's looking at a radar screen with that green line that goes around and all the blips on there that are airplanes in his control. And one of those blips is me. And that little blip that's me just said 3 magic words. Not, oh my God, 3 magic words: low on fuel. At which point I believe he sat straight up, turned his ball cap around, looked at that little blip, and said under his breath, "You idiot." Well, what he really said was, Cessna 65 Victor Denver approach, are you declaring an emergency? Well, I looked at the 2 fuel gauges. And I looked at the ground, 5,000 feet below. And I looked at my passengers. I said, Denver approach Cessna 65 Victor. No, not yet. Nevertheless, Denver approach pointed me straight towards Stapleton International Airport. Been there? Well, it's not there anymore. But at the time, it was the 7th busiest airport in the world. And I'd never been there. So after a little while, I hear this. Cessna 65 Victor Denver approach. Do you see the airport? Now it's late August afternoon. Coming over a city with the airport on the other side somewhere and get all that haze, you've seen that sometimes, Myron. You can't see anything on the other side. And I didn't know exactly where it was. All I knew was they told me to point this way, so I did. A little while later, Cessna 65 Victor Denver approach. Do you see runway 26 right? You could land any one of 12 different ways at Stapleton International. That's more ways than at LA, or by far than SeaTac. From the air, it looked like a tic-tac-toe board on steroids. Which runway is runway 26 right? Now, I was almost to, is it okay if I just leave you hanging there for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, remind me I left you. Last time I told the story, I left the people there of walking off, they said, wait! Okay, so remind me if I forget, I'm leaving you hanging right here. Because, let's come back over here, and you may be wondering, if you ran out of fuel here, how did you get to here? Go back over here, I needed two things to happen. I needed that propeller out in front to keep turning. Because like in the old days when you cranked the car to get it going and you did that by hand to keep the engine turning and the piston, yeah, like your full I needed the propeller to keep doing the same thing, keep the engine turning. And the second thing I needed was enough fuel in the, oh, I forgot to mention. Fuel in an airplane is carried in the wing. You jet. You know, plane, you got one tank in the left wing and the other. Why there were two fuel gauges. So the left one was dry. I ran it dry. I didn't know it was in the right tank. All I knew was it. So I needed there to be up in there with that propeller turning the plane. Turning. You got the idea, right? Right. We're going like that. With the propeller still turning to get that fuel into the engine and start. On the floor below the instrument panel with a big red fuel selector valve, which I leaned down and turned from the left tank to the right tank. And the sweetest sound, the engine's done. We're not out of the woods yet over here, are we? Because both fuel gauges are still on empty, and I have no idea how much fuel is left. And I made a mistake in hindsight. I should have just called the flight plan off and landed somewhere, Fort Collins, somewhere in North Colorado, and refueled. Don't. But have you ever been in a situation where you had a goal out there, something you wanted to accomplish, or someplace you wanted to go, and you're so focused on getting there, so focused on achieving that goal that it's like you got blinders on and you miss red flags along the way. Ever have to give? Thank you. Well, it was like that. I kind of had to get there right as I was running late, people were waiting, and I was focused on getting there. So I kept going straight on. Okay, now we're back over here. I don't know how much fuel I have left, but I was almost to the threshold, the beginning of the runway, before I realized which one was runway 26 right. I was able to touch down, land, and roll off and taxi, well, kind of taxi underneath the noses of those Big Brother jets from the sky. I think they were looking down over their noses, little old me, taxiing across to refuel. I topped off the fuel tanks as I had at Mountain Home, Idaho. I knew how much fuel I put in and figured at that point that I had only about 15 minutes left of Fumes and a prayer before the story would have ended much differently. Now, my passengers knew that that was not the prettiest approach to landing that we'd ever been through. But because of aviate, navigate, communicate, we were able to keep control of an unexpected situation and turn it into a successful landing, and we would fly again. And they actually did fly with me again the next day. Is this like a sign? In life, like flying, the principles work the same. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Unexpected things happen on the ground as in the air. In the space of one short year, my marriage broke. I lost my home to foreclosure. And my career tanked. So on another August afternoon, I don't know if there's significance to August afternoons in my life or not, but on another August afternoon, I found myself at one of those little round glass window tables with the pole and the green umbrella over it, with my favorite little coffee beverage in front of Starbucks. And I thought of aviate, navigate, communicate. I said, all right, I think this applies to life as well. So I took my journal and I put it down on that glass coffee table and I opened to a clean page. Took my pen and across the top, I wrote a word. An idea? Aviate. Aviate is getting back to the basics. I said, okay, before I do anything else, make plans, make changes, or anything, I need to make sure I got control of the basics. And in life, I mean, basics are like I started with. Okay, eat right, get enough sleep, get some more exercise. Those are pretty basic, right? That's what they call the basics. And I wrote some other things down there before I did anything else. You've got to get control of this stuff. And this works in business. It works in club projects. It works in life. It works in relationships. The first thing you need to know is, what are the basics of our project? What are the basics of my business? Like, do I have the cash flow going? I'm not spending more than I'm making. Like, is the quality of my product or service enough that people will actually pay cash for it? The basics of business, the basics of health, the basics of a relationship. Always start with aviate, the basics. Then I turned the page, and I wrote across the top of that page one word. Navigate, in 3 parts. I wrote down, this is where I am, which means taking stock of all your assets, talents, gifts, resources, everything you have available to you at that moment, including limitations. So this is where I am. I have a roof over my head, I have a car that works, I have some friends, I have a business that's getting going, I have $12 in my pocket. This is where I am, and I wrote all that out. Then I went to, this is where I want to be, and I wrote a paragraph of what it would look like when I got to where I wanted to be when this was over. I pictured it. I wrote it out like a picture, as if I was there. So I would know what it looked like when I got there. Then I planned the course, and I wrote out 21 steps that I thought I needed to take to get from where I am to where I wanted to be. Navigate. For community, I got down with me. I said, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to be, this is the course I want to take. Help me get there, give me feedback. Because the secret to communicate is getting feedback from a source that's not freaked out. Like the instruments in the cockpit of a plane, they don't care how fast you're going, they don't care if you're climbing or not, they don't care if you're turning or not, they just tell you what it's like. Like the guy on the ground giving me directions at Staples International. That's the kind of communicate you need. Like the emperor's new clothes. Remember that story? And he's been tricked by these shyster tailors into wearing clothes that they have told him are be so fine you won't even feel them. And they have the additional quality that when people look at you, look at the clothes, if they're either stupid or incompetent, they won't be able to see them. And he thought, brilliant idea. So they made the clothes, and when he sent the vice emperor in to check on the clothes, well, he couldn't see any, so not wanting to appear incompetent or stupid, but knowing what the emperor wanted to hear, he went back and told him, oh, they're so marvelous, you're going to have to try these on. So finally they're done, they call the emperor, and he goes in, and he puts on the clothes, and he checks in the mirror. Well, they were right, he couldn't feel anything, but he couldn't see anything either. Not wanting to appear incompetent or stupid to the people, he proudly held a parade down the main street of town. Everybody was there, and he got his finest gold coach and the best horses to pull it, and he stood on top. What do you think? Pretty cool, huh? And all the crowd is clapping and cheering because they don't want to appear incompetent or stupid. Then tell him what he wants to hear. Until he gets to the end of the parade, and finally a little boy who has nothing to lose, is not emotionally involved in any way, just shouts out, the emperor has no clothes! And finally, but he tells the emperor what he should have heard from the beginning. There weren't any clothes. That's the kind of communication you need, like from the boy at the end of the parade. People who will tell you like it is, in your business, with your health, in your relationships. People who just give you that kind of honest feedback. Coming out. Aviate. Navigate. And communicate. So I challenge you. Life is not just about surviving. Life is about soaring. When you get hit hard head on by unexpected things, remember this. Aviate, navigate, communicate. You'll do more than just survive. You will fly again, and you will soar to new heights. Thank you.
Get you to stay just a second.
Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And here's a little mug that you can put your favorite Starbucks in, and an application if you're so inclined.
All right, awesome.
The application is because you're like us. We never look at the gas gauge.
We never communicate either, do we?